mind. I think that's it. Okay, so let's start by just stretching our bodies a little bit, and then we'll get into our theme for today. So we're going to start with cat-cow. And just remember that anything that doesn't work for your body, just find something that does feel good. Listen to your body's wisdom. And if that means you want to take child's pose, or you want to lay on your back, or curl up into a fetal position, go for it. So this is just some guidance for your body, but really you're the boss of your own body. So starting to cat and cow, remembering if you have any osteoporosis or osteopenia, you want to avoid loaded flexion, which is this shape here, and stick more with the extension of the spine. And just start to feel into the spine and maybe wagging the tail from side to side. Let the weight of your head go. Start to take some nice deep breaths. Really allow yourself to arrive on your mat. Just giving yourself to this practice today. And then coming to a flat tabletop position, we'll thread the needle. So scoop your right arm under your left arm and bring the side of your head to the floor. And get a twist in the upper spine, the thoracic vertebrae. And take a couple of deep breaths here. And press yourself up and thread the needle on the other side. Filling up the lungs. As you do that, feel a nice stretch between the shoulder blades, deltoid or the shoulder, upper arm. Good. Come pressing yourself back up to center. And then you might bring your knees a little closer together, and we'll lift the right leg out to the side like fire hydrant pose. And then just start to make some circles with your hip and your knee. So just warming up the hip joint. So keeping the belly engaged, so pulling the navel in nice and firm to protect your lower back. And then reverse your circles. You might already feel like you're building some heat. This will prepare us for our standing poses today. Good. And then rest that knee and then go to the other side. So lifting up the knee and making circles while trying to keep your lower back from arching or caving in. Belly's engaged. And reverse your circles. Full deep breaths. Good, bring your knee back down and then take a child's pose just for a breath or two. And then come back to tabletop with the knees hip width apart and wrists right under the shoulders. Remember, you can come onto your knuckles if you have sensitive wrists. And we're going to start to pull the right knee in toward the nose and then the nose toward the knee. And then extend the leg long, keeping the belly pulled in. And pull the knee in. Now, if you have osteoporosis, then don't round the back, just pull the knee in. And then extend. And rounding, if you're rounding, knee to nose and extend. And one more time. Blowing out as you round, inhaling as you extend. Good. And now change legs. Breathe in to start. As you breathe out, rounding and tucking. Breathing in as you extend. Breathing out, round. Breathing in, extend. Breathing out, rounding, tucking, and pulling the navel in. And breathing in, extend. Good, and go ahead and release both knees to the floor. Let's roll onto our backs. So for this class, and for most classes, for those of you who are new or just popping on for the first time, we usually use a strap, or you can use a bathrobe tie, or 2 ties tied together is usually a good length. And we often use a ball. Today I just have a tennis ball, but any kind of soft, small ball is nice for self-massage. So for now, we'll come onto our backs and hug the knees into the chest and just rock from side to side. And then bring your feet to the floor. Your knees are bent, and we'll release the neck a little bit. So hands are by your sides. And then lift your right arm overhead and look over your left shoulder at the same time. And just rest there for a second and take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, bring your hand down to your side and turn your head back to center. Other side, inhaling the left arm up, look to the right. On an exhale, return back to center. So let's do this on our own, inhaling as we turn and reach. Exhaling as we come back to center. Make sure you finish one side before you start the other side. So we're not multitasking here. We're really bringing all of our attention to each individual move. Noticing how your neck feels today. Good, releasing the arms. You can keep your knees bent if that works for you, and lean your knees in toward each other. And so it helps to walk the feet away from each other just a little bit, maybe to the outer edges of your mat so the knees can soften in toward each other. And then you'll feel some space there in the lower back, the sacral area. If this isn't comfortable, please feel free to extend the legs. But we'll bring our hands, one hand to the belly and one hand to near the chest, or both hands to the belly, and rest here for a minute or two to start to engage ratio breathing. So we're going to breathe in to a count of 4 and breathe out to a count of 8 or something like that. So the idea is to extend the exhale so that it's twice as long as your inhale. So just working with that, breathing in fully, feeling the hands rise under, or the belly rise under your hands. And as you breathe out, nice and slow through the nose, or if you need to, through pursed lips to slow the breath. Emptying out. So this ratio of 4-8, or you could even do 2-4 or 3-6. This ratio breathing really helps to lower the blood pressure and calm the nervous system. It helps to reduce stress and cortisol release in the body. Continue to breathe fully and softly. You can continue to count if you'd like, or let go of the counting and just stay with the breath. As I introduce this week's theme, so this theme this week is inspired by the weekly Torah portion. So we are in the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy, and this week's Parshat is Devarim. And Devarim means words. And words refers to the words that Moses spoke to the Israelites at the border of Eretz Israel. So among the many words of wisdom that he shared at this point in time, twice he speaks to this idea of not being afraid. At one point he says, "Fear not and be not dismayed." And at another point he said, "Have no dread or fear of them." So fear not. Go ahead and release the breathing, hug your knees into your chest, and rock from side to side. And then find a twist. So from your back, let your knees come to one side while your arms open up into a T. And find a twist. You might place a block under your bottom knee or between your knees if twists are a little bit hard on your lower back, or if you have a sensitive lower back. And rest in your twist and take a few deep breaths here. So there's some commentary on this Torah portion by Rabbi Bradley Artson. He's the author of the Everyday Torah. And he says, perhaps the Torah is teaching us the right attitude with which to face life's impediments. In a sense, our propensity to fear can be our worst enemy, more dangerous than the object of fear itself. In the face of the unknown, our fantasies are more ominous than our realities. In the face of life's challenges, giving way to our pessimism and our fear strips us of our will to fight. Fear is the ally of tragedy, transforming spirited humans into passive victims. Half of the battle lies in a refusal to give in to fear. Go ahead and twist over to the other side. Ultimately, the faith of the Jew is the resilience of hope. Refusing to give in to despair, the Jew musters the inner resilience that comes from spiritual depth and a vision of holiness that transcends time. It is not that we can avoid suffering entirely, but we can fashion our response to suffering. And just as our ancestors responded to suffering with a renewed commitment to the mitzvot, to the Jewish people and to God, we too can make our mark in the world by how we choose to confront pain and disappointment. Go ahead and bring your knees back to center and hug them into your chest and rock from side to side. By living our lives in goodness, by cultivating a rich connection to our God and the mitzvot, and by alleviating the suffering of others, we vindicate Moses' insight and embody his remarkable courage. Fear not and be not dismayed. So go ahead and roll to one side and curl up a little there and take a breath or two. And then when you're ready, press yourself up to a seated position. And in your seated position, you can sit I was really going to call it crisscross applesauce because I'm used to saying that to my children that I teach yoga to. Go ahead and sit crisscross applesauce, or you can sit on a block for a moment, and we'll resume a 4-8 breath, or just maybe not even counting, but just fully breathing in, and then exhaling through pursed lips to slow the exhale. With eyes closed, just feeling into the body, noticing the changes that have occurred from just a little bit of movement and attention. So as humans, it's necessary to feel fear from time to time. It's a means to survive. It's a helpful way to remove ourselves from dangerous situations, for example. But often fear develops from allowing our minds to take over and cultivate scenarios that may never happen. So recalling in your own body the way in which your body experiences fear, the symptoms of your body when you're feeling afraid or threatened. Universally, it often manifests as shortness of breath or breathing in the upper chambers of the lungs as chest breathing. It manifests in tight muscles, shoulders shrugging up toward the ears, or even rounded shoulders coming forward to protect the vital organs. And fear can does manifest as the release of cortisol through the body. So the stress hormone just flooding the system, creating a lot of adrenaline. And we often live that way on a regular basis, even when there's not a threat in the moment, happening in that exact moment. So the long-term effects of living in fear aren't positive. They're not good for us. So how do we use yoga or any kind of mindful movement as a way to counteract unnecessary fear and to support a healthy nervous system? So today I'm shining the light on 3 of the limbs of yoga. There's 8 limbs of yoga. 2 that we practice a lot. Actually, we practice through all of them, I guess, pretty often. We have pranayama, which we're practicing now, the act of breath control. We have asana, which is our yoga postures. It literally means posture. So today we focus on having an upright and steady posture to counteract the posture of fear. And then dharama, which means concentration. And my favorite way to concentrate is to give my mind something to do, often in the form of a mantra or affirmation. And we can think of these limbs of yoga as an antidote to what ails us. Take one more deep breath, this time shrugging the shoulders up into your ears, breathing in, and then as you exhale, drop the shoulders, let it out through your mouth. We're going to do that 2 more times. Inhale, shrugging the shoulders up. Exhale, and 1 more time. Good. All right, if you have a block under you, go ahead and remove it. And we'll use our straps. Return to your back, and we're going to open up the legs a little bit more for our standing postures today. So I'll start with the strap on the bottom of my right foot, and you can extend your left leg or you can keep it bent, your choice. If you don't have a strap, do what you can with your hands, or you could use a towel if you don't have anything that resembles a strap. And just do your best. It's okay if your leg is a little bit bent, especially if your hamstrings tend to be tight. And just start to feel the hamstring, flex your right foot, and use the strap to just make little circles toward the ceiling or the sky if you're outside. You know, fear too is something that as empathic beings and as I would call us pack animals, we absorb from all around us. So even if it's not our fear, we start to take on the fear of others, especially if we're watching a lot of news or really paying attention to a lot of the social media. Fear is contagious. And so we tend to store those things in our body on behalf of others. So yoga, this kind of stuff, this soft movement and breath, can help us let go of the things that aren't ours to hold, that we can just release for a while. See if you hold your straps with the left hand, if you can bring your leg across your body just a little bit until you get an outer hip stretch. You don't have to go far. And then change hands and start to bring the leg out to the side, to your right, getting into the right inner thigh, keeping the left hip as much as you can grounded and rooted to the floor. And breathe here, keep the abdominals engaged. And then bend that knee just a little bit and bring it back to center. And release your strap. And just hug your knee into your chest for a minute here. And just hold the knee close, give it a squeeze, and move it back and forth. And do some ankle rotations, pointing and flexing the toes. Good. And then we'll change sides. Bring that strap around your left foot. And before you start moving around, just notice first, just bring attention to what's real and true for your body right now. Where do you feel tension? Where do you have sensation that might not be pleasant? Where does it feel really good? And then let your body, the wisdom of your body, guide you as you come into your circles or whatever movement feels needed. Finding your breath, always staying connected to the stream of inhales and exhales in your body. Taking the straps into your right hand this time, start to cross the leg over the body until you feel an outer hip and outer leg stretch. Some of you might come into a twist here, but it's not necessary, so just looking for that outer leg stretch by keeping the left foot flexed. And then changing hands with your strap and keeping the belly engaged, start to bring the leg out to the side. And keep the right hip grounded into the floor. And breathe. Go ahead and bend your knee slightly, bring your leg back to center, and then release the strap. And keep the knee close to your body, give it a squeeze, maybe hugging into the outer side of your rib cage and making some circles, pointing and flexing the foot. Good, and then go ahead and hug the other knee into your chest and rock from side to side. And then we're gonna just flip ourselves over like a pancake. So just take your time, roll to your side, and come onto your belly. And come into a little Sphinx pose. So the tops of the feet are on the floor, and your forearms are on the floor with your elbows close to your rib cage. And we're just stretching out the abdominals and waking up the adrenal glands. Good. The gaze is straight ahead. And then lower yourself down, let your forehead rest on your hands, and bend your knees and just wave them from side to side. And then crisscross your ankles over each other. Good, and then you're gonna press yourself up. So be careful with your lower back. I'm back in my Sphinx pose. I'm going to start to engage my belly like I'm doing a crunch, and then lift my hips Tuck your toes and press yourself back, or walk your knees in close to yourself and come into child's pose. And then we're all going to come to standing with your block nearby and your little massage ball nearby. And we'll stand in mountain pose. So feet are hip width apart, shoulders up, back, and down, upright and steady. Samastitihi, that is what it means, upright and steady. So feeling the stance of fearlessness, of strength, of resilience, mountain pose. Soften your knees just a little bit. And we're going to do our 3 thumps today. So we're going to build resilience by supporting the immune system. So bring your fingertips under your collarbones and start to tap vigorously. Nice, really firm taps with your fingers. You can also massage. Sometimes it feels good to get in there and massage. It could be sore. And nice, full deep breaths. Second place we'll thump is the center of the chest. You can switch to knocking with soft fists, or you can keep tapping with your fingertips. And I like to add sounding because it helps to support the vagus nerve, which is really important in stress resilience. So we make sound and kind of massage that nerve. So take a deep breath in and let out an ah. Ah, good. And now knocking on the chest, the ribs from the side, or you can massage with your knuckles. About halfway down the rib cage on the sides. So this is stimulating the spleen meridian, also important for our immune system. Good, so that's the 3 thumps, and then shake it out, shake your legs, shake your arms, and open up your legs a little bit wider, and we'll just start to do a standing twist, letting your soft fists tap on the chest and the lower back, and gazing over your shoulder as you turn. So I'm lifting my heel as I turn so that my knees stay happy. Full deep breaths. Just waking up the chi, the life force in the body. Good. And letting those arms slow down. Nice. So we're going to do wood chopper. It's probably going to seem loud because of the microphone, so I'll make my wood chopper quieter. But I want your wood chopper to be nice and loud so I can hear you even though you're muted. Think of it like that. So your legs are wide and your knees, your toes are pointed outward and your knees are bent just a little bit, not a lot. So you've got room to chop. And your hands are clasped. Now if you have any low back issues, just a little support here. When you come down, you can come down low, but that can strain the lower back as you come back up. So if you're working with low back challenges, when you chop your wood, just squat a little deeper and bring your arms down through your legs. Otherwise, you can really let it go, whatever works for your body. But the sound needs to come from your diaphragm. It needs to come from your power center, not from your throat. Your voice needs to come from here, and that's even when you're speaking your truth. We think it just comes from the throat. It comes from our power center. So clasp your hands, inhale, and then let out a from the diaphragm. Really feel yourself cutting away through the stress, through the fear, finding your power. 3 more. Full deep breaths in. Last one. Good. Walk your feet underneath your body. Stand in mountain pose. Adonai li velo yira. God is with me, I shall not fear. Even if you're not religious, you can think of the universe supports me. The universe supports me. I will not fear. So we're going to keep building the strength in our lower body to keep us grounded and strong. So I want to come into chair pose. So the knees or the feet are hip width apart. It can be helpful to place a block between your thighs to squeeze that. If you have a pretty good sense of your knees, just knowing, don't letting them knock in or come out. Or another thing that's really common is this, knees come in and feet are wider than hip width. So making sure that the ankles, knees, frontal hip bones align, and then coming into your chair pose. I'm going to use a block for support. So as you do that, start to bend your knees and sit back into your heels. Feel the weight coming back like you're going to sit in a chair or a bench. And depending on your shoulders or neck, you could have your arms in a cactus shape, or you can have them overhead. So squeezing the block if you're using it, sitting into your heels, feel the heat building in your legs. Draw the navel in. I think the altitude might be getting to my brain. Sit deeper, deeper, deeper. Good. And now if you have lower back issues, just stand up. If you are okay with your lower back, straighten your legs and come forward. Take a deep breath. If you're standing, maybe do a couple of standing twists just to release the back. Chair pose. So if you're in a forward fold, go ahead and look up, rise up, reach up. Right away, we'll come into one more chair pose, sitting back, choosing your arm variation. Belly's pulled in, right? You want to keep the belly firm and tuck your tailbone just a little bit. You don't have to go low if you're protecting your body, or if you've got any issues, you can just do a little tiny bend. This is also called thunderbolt pose. So thinking of the power and the strength of a thunderbolt, the fearlessness and power of that. Good, and then stand. Bring your hands to your heart. Release the block if you're using it. And just do some standing twists. Okay, so let's come into a little bit of foot massage to get us ready for our standing pose. Bring the ball under your right foot. If you don't have a ball, it's no problem. Just have a seat on a chair or on the floor and just give your foot some love. Just give it a little massage. Use your thumbs to get in there. Finding sore spots, ironing them out, giving some extra attention. Find one spot that is tender, that you can tell needs some extra attention, and pause there. And breathe and just be with whatever you're feeling. Breathe in for a count of 4. And slow down the exhale to a count of 8 or so. Good, and then we're going to change sides. Once again, finding a spot that might need a little extra attention and pause there. And breathe. Bring a little more attention and pressure to that area if it's comfortable, or comfortable meaning you can handle the pressure and the tension. And breathe in to a count of 4, and breathe out, extending, lengthening the exhale. Good. Okay. All right, go ahead and move your ball off to the side. We're going to practice Warrior 1, Vira 1, and we're going to use mantra or affirmation with our pose. So step your right foot forward and line up your front heel with your back arch and turn that back leg inward a little bit. So you want to keep your outer edge of your foot on the floor. You don't want your ankle caving in and that outer edge popping up. So if that's what's happening, adjust your foot or your stance so that doesn't happen. If you have lower back issues and this is really challenging for you, you could come onto your toes if you needed to. It's more of a crescent lunge. We're going to start in our Warrior 1. We're going to start with goalpost arms or cactus arms. Breathe. Get that front knee nice and deeply bent. As you exhale, come into humble warrior. Pull the belly in. It's really important to keep the belly engaged to support your lower back. You don't need to come down far if you're protecting any chronic low back issues. Adonai Li, God is with me. And come up, I shall not fear. Velo Yira. And bowing down, God is with me. And rising up, I shall not fear. Open your heart. Feel yourself rooted into the earth, into your mat. Gazing up, opening your heart, opening your hands. Surrendering to something greater than you, the universe, something bigger than you that holds you. And then coming down into your deep bow again. Pressing those hands up behind you. God is with me. Adonai Li. And up we come. Velo Yira. I shall not fear. Bring your hands to your heart. Now, if your front thigh is on fire, go ahead and give it a little break. Straighten your leg for a second. And then we're going to come right back into our bent knee. And we're going to come into Warrior 2. So float those arms up, gaze over your right hand. Nice deep front knee bend. And we exalt our warrior. Back hand comes to the back leg. Reach your front arm up. God is with me. And Warrior 2, I shall not fear. Exalt your warrior. The universe supports me. I shall not fear. Float your hands to your heart, and then just turn your feet to take the other side. So those left toes are pointed forward. The front knee is bent. Check that the knee isn't caving in. Check that it's bent over your ankle or a little behind it and toward the small toes. So this is going to be for Warrior 1. So you might have a heel to heel alignment for this. You're going to turn your back leg in and come into your cactus arms. And engage your belly as you bend forward. God is with me. Inhale. I shall not fear. Bend over, Adonai Li. Velo Yira. Again, last time, bending forward, the universe supports me. And up we go. I shall not fear. And float your hands to your heart. And coming into Warrior 2. So you might change to a heel to arch Front heel to back arch alignment. Float your arms up. Bend that front knee. And reach to the heavens. Back arm comes down. Front arm reaches up. Pull your belly in. God is with me. Warrior 2. I shall not fear. Exalt your warrior. Adonai Li. Warrior 2. Velo Yira. The universe supports me. Breathing in. I shall not fear. And bring your hands to your heart. And now turn your toes to face forward. Legs are nice and wide. And come into your wide-legged forward fold. So hinging at the crease of your hips. You might come to a block with your hands. And breathe here. Reach your sits bones up and back behind you, so get into your hamstrings. And then if you feel comfortable to let yourself fold all the way forward, go ahead and do that. Release your head and breathe. I like to play a little bit when I'm in this pose, Prasarita Padottanasana. I like to bend my knees and kind of rock side to side in my hips. Maybe you want to reach your arms out in front of you or keep them close to you and kind of pull yourself in close to your body, your upper body to your lower body, whatever the wisdom of your body wants right now. Relax your head, so turning the head from side to side and nodding yes and no. Good, so now we're gonna press into our hands, come halfway up, and start to turn the heels in toward each other and rise up nice and slow. So we're back in a gentle squat here for a little Eastern movement medicine. So bring your hands to your heart. And as you inhale, reach one arm up and one arm down. This is called separating heaven and earth. As you exhale, bring the hands toward each other. They pass each other, and then you change sides. Inhaling as you stretch, and exhaling as you bring your hands to pass each other. Now there's no end and no beginning to this movement, so letting go of any agenda. Stay in the moment, in that moment of what you're feeling. Try to connect the movement with the breath. So as your empty lungs happen and your hands are near each other, and as your lungs are full, you are stretching in opposite directions. Let your hands slowly come to center this time. Bring your hands to your heart in Anjali Mudra or prayer, and start to heel toe your feet in toward each other, and standing with hands at your heart, maybe your eyes closed or gaze down. We're working with asana, the posture of fearlessness and resilience. Working with breath control, pranayama, to assist our nervous system to both calm down and also to energize when we need it to. And we're working with dharana, which is concentration, focusing the mind on something that is positive and life-affirming, gratitude or anything that supports you. and gets you out of that rut of fear thinking. So we're going to start to come down to our seats, and we'll take a seated twist. If you ever feel like your back is too rounded when you're sitting on your mat, always know that sitting on the edge of a block is helpful, or even a rolled up towel. If you come to class and you want to bring a towel with you, you can fold it a couple of times to give yourself just, an inch or two even of lift, which then brings your pelvis forward and takes the rounding out of the lower back. So it's really helpful. So for now, we're going to take our seated twist. Go ahead and bring your right or your left ankle close to your bottom. Bring your right ankle close to your body or cross it over. It just depends on how your hips feel today. And wiggle around until you feel your buns on the floor as much as possible. And then we'll look over our right shoulder. So I'm holding my knee with my left hand. I'm using my right hand to help prop me up. Breathing in, extending the spine, lengthening the spine. As you breathe out, paying close attention to the twist. And then start to unwind your twist from the head to the mid-back until you're at center. So if your legs are okay where they are, you're going to leave them that way. If they're feeling really anxious and uncomfortable, you can come to just sitting more crisscross style. And we're going to go into a hand mudra before we switch to the other side. So index finger and thumb together, 3 fingers up. The other hand is on the lap, and the thumb and the index finger again together in this mudra. Rest your arms close to your body, close your eyes. This is Abhaya Mudra, which is a mudra of fearlessness and protection. It's in thousands and thousands of years old. So just breathing in to a count of 4, breathing out to a count of 8 or so. Good, and then we're going to change to the other side. So bring your right heel close to your bottom, left foot comes in toward the body or across the bottom knee, and come into your twist. Start to come back to center and taking the same mudra. This time the right hand is up, thumb and index finger, and then the left hand is either near your body, palm up, or on your lap. And now we're going to come to our backs. So bring your block with you if you need a block. Eye pillow if you have one and you want to use one, or a towel. Come to your back and check in with your body. So traditionally at the end of a yoga pose you might do a final twist or an inversion. So if you are used to doing an inversion with your legs up, and you want to do a supported bridge with a block and your legs up, you can take a moment to do that, or some other inversion that you know that works for you. And just take Take another minute or so to give your body what it needs. Some of you might want another hip opener, or who knows, right? Just listening to your body. Keep connecting to your breath. And remember that your body has all the answers. If you listen, it will speak to you. It will share its wisdom. Take another minute or so to give your body what would be most nourishing, and then start to settle into your shavasana. I release all fear. I release all fear. I release all fear. And I live in love. And I live in love. And I live in love. Adonai li velohira. Adonai li velohira. Velohira. I release all fear. I release all fear. I release all fear, and I live in love. And I live in love. And I live in love. Adonai li velohira. Adonai li velohira. 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 Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Lai yai lai lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Yai lai 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 lai. Bringing one hand to your heart and one hand to your belly. Let your higher self, the deep inner wisdom, the still small voice, let that voice say something that you need to hear. And then as you're ready, roll to your side. Take your time rising up with your hands at your heart. Feel free to join in the last round of this chant. I release all fear. I release all fear. I release all fear, and I live in love. And I live in love. And I live in love. Adonai li velo yira. Adonai li velo yira. Velo yira. Velo yira. I release all fear. I release all fear. I release all fear, and I live in love. 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 I invite you to join me in our call and response closing prayer. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be peaceful. May all beings be loved. May it be so. Ken yehi ratzon. Shalom.